Hey guys, and welcome back. This week I'm excited because my Priemer power welder finally came in and we're going to be installing it in my Jeep, so stay tuned while we get this bad boy hooked up. As y'all can see, I always like to start everything by laying everything out that comes in the package, all the instructions, and make sure I have a full inventory of everything that needs to be included. That way I can install a lot easier and a lot smoother. So first things first, we're going to swap out the alternator from the stock alternator to the one provided from Priemer Power Products. In preparation of having to run the cables where I'm going to in the Jeep, I went ahead and zip tied all the wiring that goes with it. That way it keeps it all together and you're not fighting a bunch of loose wires. Keeps it all nice and tight. Moving ahead, I already knew where I wanted to mount the welder in my vehicle. and I wanted to add an extra backing plate on the underside of the fender well to help keep the bolts from pulling out and whatnot. So using the template that they provided, I went ahead and cut it out and measured for the backing plate I was going to use and laid it all out. That way it'd be ready to go once we mounted the welder to the fender well. Now that I have my backing plate, which doubles as my new template, went ahead and laid it on the fender well where I wanted the welder to be mounted and marked all my holes in order to drill the holes out and be able to mount the welder to it. Now the fun part begins. We're going to run all the wiring. In this case, I'm running it behind the grill under the front clip and back on the other side closer to the alternator and the battery. So when running all these wiring and stuff, sometimes you need space and somewhere to attach all your wiring to. So I bought these, which are magnetic, and they have slots for your zip ties to go through, and then you hook them up, but they won't. And you can put them anywhere you want in order to use and run your zip ties through there. Here we can go ahead, wire in the alternator to the corresponding connections on the alternator. And while I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and add some wire loom to all the wiring coming out from the clip. That way it keeps everything nice and clean and looking sleek under the hood. So now I want to mount the hand throttle control cable. That way you can adjust the RPMs on the vehicle and get the welder where it needs to be on the gauge as far as either for welding or running the power converter. I chose to put it next to the welder so I can see my gauges at the same time that I'm adjusting the hand throttle. Just makes it a little easier, but they send you enough cable to be able to mount it in many different locations, whether from inside the vehicle or on the outside. The choice is up to you. I just prefer to do it here, that way I can adjust it and look right at it. Once I got the mount bent where I wanted it so that the hand throttle was in a comfortable location, I'm going to go ahead and mark it, drill it, and I'm going to use nut search to attach the mount to the inside of the fender where I'm putting the hand throttle. Hooking the throttle cable to the throttle control is pretty straightforward. The end of the throttle control has a rounded tip on it. The end of the cable has a rounded slot where it hooks into. Before that, you want to slide an O-ring at the end of the cable sheath and then put the rounded end into the slot, slide the nut over it and tighten it down. Next, we're going to go ahead and measure the cable length from the hand throttle to the throttle body. You also want to take into account, you want to leave some cable exposed from the sheath, so don't just measure to the end of the sheath. If not, you won't have any cable sticking out. You want to give yourself about an inch longer than what you want. That way you can adjust it accordingly. And using the chain or however you plan to attach it, they provide everything to attach it to the throttle body. It's your choice on how you want to mount it to that to make it work. And they suggest that the throttle body doesn't start to rev up to about half a turn on the throttle body. So it takes a little bit of playing with it and get it adjusted properly. So now it's all hooked up, it's all put in. We got the welder, we've got our hand throttle so we can adjust it and watch the voltage where we need it as it goes in. We're ready to go and ready to help not only ourselves but also any fellow off-roaders that may be stuck and need a hand out there. And with that being said, reach out to a veteran. Reach out to your buddies, reach out to your family members, maybe somebody you just happen to meet in school. Not just helping other people on the trail, but helping those that really need the help and helping those that you can't see the scars. Even if you can see the scars, sometimes all we need is someone to talk to, someone to hang out with, and someone to just treat us regular and normal like everybody else, or people's, society's normal. But I'm all about helping other people, other veterans, and I hope that everybody out there does the same thing. Find a veteran and help them get into the hobbies that you're into if they want to. If not, help them get linked up with, help get out there. And I hope you enjoyed the show. Hope you enjoyed everything that's been going on, and stay tuned for more.